Hello everyone. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is Cabela's video game review. Yeah, originally I was going to put it on every modern animal and video game review, but I'm going to start with something new. So, we'll start with Cabela's video game review. Now, we'll start with the 2006 video game, and that is Cabela's African Safari. Is a 2006 hunting simulation video game played from a third-person perspective. It was released for Microsoft, Windows, PS2, and PS Portable, and the Xbox 360. Developed by San Grain Studios for the PSP and PSP, Magic Wand Productions for the PC, Fun Labs for the Xbox 360. It was released on October 17th, 2006, and November 21st, 2006. In Australia, it was released on March 21st, 2007. The player can track and stalk a variety of animals on a safari of over 5 or 6 African countries, depending on the version of the game. The game has many huntable animals, such as leopards, elephants, rhinoceroses, cheetahs, Cape buffalo, lions, and a variety of other animals. Xbox Achievements thought the game was decent, but did not try to push the genre or the series in any meaningful way. IGN felt that the PC and the PS2 versions were better than the Xbox 360 version, which was severely lacking. So now with that done, let's get some of the animals that appeared in the game. There are some that I could not find pictures of that appear in the Xbox version of the game and the PlayStation 2 version of the game. So let's get started, shall we? African wild dog, baboon. Yeah, just a baboon. Doesn't specify what species. From its appearance, well, it could be either the Guinea baboon, olive baboon, yellow baboon, Cape baboon, and the kinda baboon, and the Hamadryas baboon. Well, whatever it is, could be either of those. I'm guessing they did not have the time to pick any different species or genus of baboon in each level of the game. They're just like, we'll stick with the generic baboon. Black wildebeest, blue wildebeest, Bontebok, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, the Cape buffalo, bush buck, the caracal, cardinal woodpecker, cheetah. Yeah, just a cheetah. It could be either Southeast African cheetah, Northeast African cheetah, or the Northwest African cheetah. Well, either way, and the chimpanzee. Yeah, I did not know that they were in the game in Cabela's African Safari. But yeah, a chimpanzee. Tiger, which is a small to medium sized antelope. And again, doesn't specify what it is or what species. Because there's a whole lot of them in Africa. Well, one, it could be common tiger. But the other, well, could be Maxwell's tiger, the blue tiger, and last one, Walter's tiger. Could be either of those. Anyways, moving on. Egyptian goose. Eland. Elephant. Doesn't specify what species of elephant it's supposed to be. Well, only two. The African bush elephant and the other African forest elephant, which only lived in the humid tropical forests in West Africa and the Congo Basin. So this is the African bush elephant. James Buck or James Buck. Giraffe. Doesn't specify what giraffe is supposed to be in the game, because there's lots of them in Africa. It could be reticulated giraffe, northern giraffe, Maasai giraffe, southern giraffe, and a lot more. Anyway, and the gorilla. Yeah, there's one problem where it is. Gorillas don't live in the African savanna, and gorillas are only in gorillas' habitat are from montane forests to swampland. Eastern gorillas inhabited montane and submontane forests. Mountain gorillas live in the mountain forests at the higher end of the elevation range, while eastern lowland gorillas live in submontane forests at the lower end. In addition, eastern lowland gorillas live in montane bamboo forests as well as lowland forests. Doesn't specify what species of gorilla it is. Could be either the eastern lowland gorilla, mountain gorilla, cross river gorilla, western lowland gorilla. Well, either it is or what species it's supposed to be. Moving on. Flamingo. Gray Reebok. Hartebeest. Doesn't specify what species it is. It could be either red hartebeest, Coke's hartebeest, Jackson's hartebeest, western hartebeest. Yeah, they have a lot of subspecies in Africa. And hartebeests can be identified and be recognizable is by looking at their horns or antlers. Yeah. So from the picture I could not even see what species it is by the horns. But if you guys know what species it is and recognize those horns of that subspecies, let me know in the comments below. Common hippopotamus. Hyena. Definitely spotted hyena. Impala. And I'm sorry if I'm going to mispronounce the name, but here it goes. Klipspringer. The kudu. Doesn't specify what species of kudu or subspecies. It could be either the lesser kudu or the greater kudu. Moving on. Liquor, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, moving on. Leopard. Well, it could be the African leopard. So, yeah. The lion. Doesn't specify what species they're supposed to be. They could be either Southwest African lion, Transvaal lion, or the Congo lion, Ethiopian lion, and most likely, but very unlikely, extinct subspecies of lion that could be around or extinct. The Barbary lion and the Cape lion. Either way, moving on. Nile crocodile, the Nala, and ostrich. That doesn't specify what species. They could be either North African ostrich, South African ostrich, Maasai ostrich, or the blue-necked ostrich, or sometimes called the Somali ostrich. Reed buck. There are three species of them. They could be either southern reed buck, mountain reed buck, or the Boho reed buck. Well, either way, red-bellied teal, red ducar, rhino. Doesn't specify what species of rhino they're supposed to be, because there are lots of rhinos in Africa, but some of them are extinct in Africa. And they could be either black rhino, Uganda black rhino. Well, because the Uganda black rhino has very limited information. It is unknown if the subspecies are extinct or not. Eastern black rhino, South Central black rhino, Southwestern black rhino, Northern white rhino, or last but not least, Southern white rhino. If I could take a guess from the model, judging from the snout of the mouth and the horns, it could be a black rhino. So, it is likely a black rhino. And a roan antelope, rock dove, and a sable. South Cape kudu, springbok, spur-winged goose, steenbok, turtle dove, warthog. Doesn't specify what subspecies they're supposed to be. They could be either northern warthog, eastern or central African warthog, southern warthog, and the warthog in Ethiopia, desert warthog, waterbuck, and a pelican, yellow-bellied duck, and last but not least, zebra. Yeah, just a zebra. Doesn't specify what species that this subspecies was supposed to represent, because there are many, many species of zebra. Cape Mountain zebra, imperial zebra, the maneless zebra, Grant's zebra, and many more. And that's it for every animal in Cabela's African Safari. And I've never played the game because I merely play the GTA games, the old ones, football games, basketball, and some dinosaur games as well, like Turok Evolution, because that's the games that I played. And that it holds up. And that's it for this video. Like and subscribe, and see you later, guys.